wondered, you mentioned you're going to talk a little bit about the sort of bigger systems pieces.
Yeah.
So there's two ways maybe you get into that, but also thinking about which states, because I know you're connected with a lot of them, that might be, just that we touch a lot of the locals
Yeah.
in certain states, and I'm just wondering if you have some sense about which states might be sort of moving toward readiness at a state level to support this work from leading from the middle or bottom up kind of approach.
Yeah.
Just what you're thinking about that.
Yeah, I could give you a little thought, but I don't really know it well enough.
Okay.
I mean, I more easily tell you countries other than the U.S.
Sure.
Uh,
We sort of get
We're
that.
aware of that.
But I think, obviously California for us, is very strong.
Yeah.
They'll have an election next year, and
Yeah.
the Democrats will get in and we'll see what kind of makeup is. But yeah, California is great. And then when I think of the bubbling up, I don't.
Not
You
sure.
might
Yeah.
tell me.
Yeah,
I think there's Washington State has
Yeah.
some possibilities.
yeah,
But I don't know whether the leadership at the very top is up to it.
right.
So we see our deep learning is growing in Washington State in the given districts, and we have major interest in coherence on the part of all the leaders in Seattle public schools.
Mhm.
We're meeting with next month.
Mhm.
So I see like enough in Washington State to feel that under the radar, whatever you want to describe it at different levels, there's a lot of simpatico
Mhm.
that could be mobilized. So I think that
Mhm.
is the second one. In the Northeast, people have said that Vermont is good. Some people say Massachusetts is good, except if you ask Andy Hargraves, which he says
Yeah.
that it's overrated. So I haven't really looked for it, but I do think that the future is in the state, not at the federal level.
Yeah.
The leadership in the middle says the state is going to be the variable.
Yeah,
Illinois seems to be hopeless as a state
yeah.
in terms of this agenda.
Yeah.
But, so I'm not very helpful that way.
What do you think about, Glenn Price has talked about sort of trying to build up almost a West Coast alliance.
Yeah.
What do you think of he's looking at Washington, Oregon, he's made some connections there, so that what works in California can
Yeah.
start to influence beyond just California, right?
Yeah, I do think a lot of it, you might remember or saw that when Trump was elected, the California legislature the next day published a bilingual two-pager that said we were the last to join the states, and we're going to be the first to. And we feel we're carrying the flag for the future, and we will be the first to leave if it doesn't develop in the way it should.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was their instinct, but I think the West. I think it is both what I call professional and political movement, and Oregon might be possible. Washington State, I've already said, California. So you have some interesting combination
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
There's an interesting article in the New York Times just a couple days ago around the political solidification of the Democrats along the whole Washington,
Yeah.
Oregon, California,
Mhm.
which I think sets some of the climate we're talking about.
Mhm.
And I think the state commissioners are, as a group, individually as well, they tend to have a lot of interest in what we're talking about. I had a conversation with one of them who arranged a call with me about 3 weeks ago, and I won't name who it is, but he said, I have to admit that the education policy we've been following for 40 years has been the wrong one. He said it just like that, and that the right drivers is the way to go. I mean, this is a state commissioner. They don't carry on, beyond certain governors, but I think the state commissioners, politically speaking, as a group, have a lot of interest in getting the right drivers right.
And then also one more on California is, who are the most influential superintendents or local leaders that you think can help drive any of this work from the pedagogical piece as well as just the driver piece? I know you're working with some of them.
We work with, there's a whole bunch of them that are really,
Yeah.
really good. There's a guy,
Maybe just by district.
yeah, the ones we do traditionally who are still good is, Long Beach.
Yep.
In terms, in Garden Grove, which is,
Yep.
was Laura Schwam is now Gabrielle Maffei. So she's great. The guy at Twin Rivers, Steve Martinez, is fabulous. But the other, I'm struggling for his last name. His first name is Paul. He was a superintendent of Linwood. Linwood is beside Compton. And it was enormously successful at taking a really kind of decimated system and addressing what I called earlier the social capital issues of survival, belongingness, graduation, got graduation rates from 57 to 85%, things like that. And I interviewed him, and he just had it all down pat. Like the stuff that we would recommend, he's doing day after day. He became superintendent of San Diego County office. There's 58 county offices, and so now he's saying to me, he's saying when I was superintendent of Linwood, the county office was useless. It was always, you know, more bureaucracy, more micromanagement. I just had to figure out how to keep them at arm's length to you know, to be sane about it. So he said, now that, and we're saying this because we're kind of orchestrating it, now that you're county superintendent, what are you going to do about it to reverse that? So now you're going to feed back, and the 20 districts that are in the region, you're going to have a different relationship with them as a county. And he said, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So I think, I mean, I can get you his name, but he's a hero.
I can look that up too.
Yeah, he's really good.
Good.
And some of the others that fell a bit by the wayside that were like the Fresno guy, Mike.
Friends or something.
He was one of the original California kind of core group, it was called, was the 10 big superintendents. Yeah. They were influential politically in a good way, but they weren't necessarily doing the work internally to their districts as well. Yeah. But there's I think a lot of leaders in California that are school principals on the way up, superintendents, and that they can be mobilized.
Paul Gotthold.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
Michael's amazing.
Thank you for
Okay,
your partnership
thanks.
and your time. I do have to go. I
Okay, good.
apologize.
Good to meet you. Yeah.
Just out of